All right, we are recording. So welcome everybody to our LiveFULLy Zoom. Um, we are actually here at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night and 7 p.m. Eastern, and we may end up having to change the time later. So just keep an eye out if you're on this call now, or if you're going to go back and watch the recording, just keep an eye out for a possible day and time change moving forward. But tonight I am super excited to have Morgan Bishop as our guest host and speaker. And so, I'll be turning it over to her to kind of walk us through her journey. I wanted to make a quick mention that hopefully some of you, if you weren't able to be on the call 2 weeks ago, you've been able to go back and see the recording that we had our guest, W.K. Jones, who's on this call tonight, talking to us about his new book that has recently been released called Your Journey to the Extraordinary, which is just an absolutely phenomenal read, and so much good stuff when it comes to mindset and positivity and your ability to really, live the life of your dreams. And so if you have not watch that recording, if you've not gotten that book, I just wanted to come back and reiterate that is absolutely a book that you need to put on at the top of your next read list, because it's incredible. So, and we're actually going to have him come back and do another Zoom for us, guest host again, so that we can get some more info for him about his book, because there's just so many good nuggets in there. So now for tonight, I just wanted to introduce Morgan. Again, Morgan and I met actually just through Casey, because Casey Pluff is her illustrious sister. And Morgan and I, shared a lot of the same kind of struggles, having both been significantly overweight for a lot of our adult life, and have shared some of those emotional types of issues that tend to cause us to behave in ways like compulsive overeating, and have had a lot of really good back and forth sharing, have kind of walked through a personal development journey together. So both of us, kind of new to personal development, but she's been doing it a little longer than me. But I asked Morgan to guest host tonight just because over the past couple of months, she has actually really kind of undergone a mindset shift that has positively impacted so many different areas of her life with regard to nutrition and how her body feels, and mindset, and how you think about your day when you wake up. And it's been super fun to watch and exciting, just because you can totally feel a difference in her energy, and it's just been a blessing developing a friendship with her. So I think there's going to be a lot of amazing little tidbits and nuggets that she has for us tonight. So I'm going to hand it over to Morgan, and if you would like to just kind of walk us through, your journey as far back as you want to go to start, and kind of what just some things that you feel like have really contributed to a different kind of a mindset, and having dealt with issues of severe obesity and compulsive overeating. We try over and over and over and over, right? Like, and then it's like, well, I lost some and I gained it back, lost some, gained it back. And it's like, we all are familiar with that cycle. And so I'm just super interested to see, what you have to say, and why, you feel like you're on a roll, man. Like, things are going good. And so I'm going to turn it over to you and let you take it away.
Well, thank you, Chris. And, it has been a journey. And if we go all the way back to where my journey started, I was very little when I started noticing food and comforting myself. So we would be here all day. But I'm going to try to condense it into a short version, just to kind of give you some ideas of life before, and then when I started entering into this healthy nutrition program that some of us are on, and then kind of where I am now. Meeting you and just everybody else that I've kind of met through this journey has just really been helpful to know that you have a lot of support and other people that you can kind of lean on. So I really appreciate you. But I've made a little PowerPoint here just to keep myself on track, because if I don't, then I'll be all over the place. But so I'm going to share my screen and make sure that this works, Chris. And I'll get onto the PowerPoint. All right, so that was my welcome. So this was me out at one of the, we went to, I think, San Diego and Coronado Beach. I just remember feeling really happy in that picture. It's an unfiltered picture. And today
Morgan, I'm not,
yes.
I just see the, like the browser screen of Zoom.
How about that?
I'm not on your, I don't see that presentation.
I see it on mine. Do you see, how do I get the, it's not going on the.
Are you just clicked onto the,
Yes.
All right, and hit
Share screen.
and then there you go.
Do the PowerPoint one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just go.
Yep.
How about that?
Perfect.
See it now?
Yep.
Okay. So this was me, and it's an untouched photo, which is, not all the photos that I like to put on Facebook these days, but I thought it was important to just put a real picture of me where I remember being just really happy recently. My story can go back very far to just overeating for comfort, always being kind of teased, being overweight, being the biggest person in the class. Then it goes to extreme dieting, to losing and gaining, and just a lot of things that, normal people who compulsive overeaters deal with. It was a big struggle. These are the way I feel. This is kind of where I was here. This was me at about 282 pounds. A feeling over here, I just put down some words that when I look at that, and when I remember the time leading up to that, just in a just sense of despair, no hope, just loss of total everything in my life. It was just depression and just a lot of just low self-worth. I had tried every single diet out there, HCG shots, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, just, success, and then a huge rebound. So lose 20, gain 40, lose 30, gain 60. I always remember feeling trapped in my body, like that I wasn't able to do things that I wanted to do. Struggled with several different addictions. If I wasn't addicted to eating, I was addicted to over-exercising, or I was addicted to pills, or I was always addicted to something. There always had to be something to numb me, or something to, feed my addiction, my need to self-fill. Self-sabotage. I could be doing well for a little while, and then self-sabotage, and then self-punishment for allowing myself to self-sabotage. A bunch of unfulfillment. So, I look at this picture, and it's right before I started Isogenics. And it's just, I look, there's always a smile on my face and most of my pictures when even I'm heavy or no matter when, but inside, these are the feelings that I'm feeling. And it's not a good feeling, to be that way. And then to just a total feeling of like despair, hopelessness. Like there was I had come to the realization that I was going to be heavy all my life, but that was healthier than all the unhealthy things I was doing to lose, then regain, lose to regain. So right here is day one on Isogenics. And I know that not everybody has done Isogenics, but whatever program that you've chosen to do through, to get your life back, this is the one that I've chosen that has really made a huge difference for me. And then you can see day 90, and then over here was day 150. When I started this, I was at a big low. And Christmas morning, my son wanted to get up and play with all Santa toys and things. And I couldn't get on the ground, didn't want to get out of bed and play with him. And I knew that there had to be a change. And so that was kind of my why. That was my motivator. That was what was keeping me to put the program in my body every day. At this point, I couldn't even walk to the mailbox. So, it was just all I could do at that point was just to do the products to the best of my ability. As you can see, I had great results just by changing my nutrition. But I wasn't working on my mind. So time went on, and in this culture and with isogenics and anything you do, I guess, you gain new friends and you gain new things. And so, here's some pictures of me in this new lifestyle. So I was starting to lose the weight. I was starting to feel better. And I was starting to make new friends. I had all new friends. Like before isogenics, I hid in my room. So with new nutrition, feeling better, getting out, moving, doing stuff, I started meeting people. But I was pulling these pictures, and what I thought was really interesting is if you look at all of them, if you find me, I'm in the back, in the very back, hiding half my body by somebody else. So even through the process and meeting all these wonderful people and getting my weight down, my mindset wasn't really changing. And in these pictures, I had started doing personal development, and I'd started dipping into like my mindset and trying to get my self-love and my self-worth. But honestly, like when Chris asked me, when I was talking to her the other night, and she was like, just get on and tell, like, how did you do it? What did you do? How are you getting your mindset here? It's been 4 years of plugging in every single person that has come into my life. It's been 4 years of conversations, 4 years of tears. It's just a journey. And these are the type of people that I surrounded myself with. And that's what kept me in this community. And even though I was starting to putting some of my weight back on after I had gotten down to that day 150, I kept that off for a little while, but then slowly but surely it was, just started to let old habits kind of creep back in and started putting some weight back on. But I was still showing up to these events and still showing up around all these people because they're so uplifting and so motivating. And this was my new family. And these are words and things that people would actually say to me. And you are beautiful. You are so kind. You are an inspiration. You do so much for the team. I wish you could see what we see in you. If so many people on the team have said that to me when I get up and I talk or I come and I do anything, or I've literally had people who write me letters and say, I wish you could see what we see in you. I love you, from even my son or my family and friends, and you look great. And as those words are coming in, I was thinking about it, and this in my mind, that's who I saw, no matter how much I lost. And so when we feel that way about ourselves, when we feel trapped in despair, when we feel that way, no matter what words, no matter what program we're on, no matter how much weight we lose, no matter what surgery we have, it's going to come back, because you're going to start filling with food, alcohol, pills, whatever it is that you're searching for to fill with, you're going to start filling. So I just thought this was a good time. I've got a video that I kind of wanted to share with everybody. Just give me a minute to get myself together, first of all, and just so that we can all kind of get the idea here. Let's see. So if I share screen, Chris, and do, can you see this?
Yep.
Are they going to be able to see this video, Casey?
You want to maximize, see that the square on the bottom right? And then.
Okay. Can y'all see this?
Yep.
Okay.
I always thought people were so cute when they have the little cheeks and they're rosy, but mine are pretty plain. If I was going to change one feature about my face, I would say that I would want fuller lips. I'm definitely a person that looks tired when I'm tired, and when people say that, I immediately am like, oh man. I'm starting to already get little crow's feet and stuff, which my mom has, so yeah.
I'm a forensic artist. I was trained at the FBI Academy in 1993 in composite art. Worked for the San Jose Police Department as the police artist from 1995 to 2011.
We didn't really know what we were doing, so that was nerve-wracking for everyone.
I showed up to a place I'd never been and walked into this big warehouse, and at the very end there was a guy with his back to me with a drafting board.
I had a curtain separating me so that I don't see him. We'll begin. First of all, tell me about your hair.
Brown, long, I guess a little bit past my shoulders.
Your jaw.
My mom told me I had a big jaw. Yeah, they're brown eyebrows, dark brown eyebrows. Okay. I didn't know what he was doing, but then I could tell after several questions that he was drawing me.
Tell me about your chin.
I guess I haven't really compared it to anyone else's chin, but especially when like I smile, I just feel like it kind of protrudes a little bit.
What would be your most prominent feature?
Kind of have a fat, rounder face.
The older I've gotten, the more freckles I've gotten.
You sort of realize, oh man, now I have to talk about myself and think about my looks.
I'm 40, so I'm starting to get a little bit of the crow's feet thing going on.
Once I get a sketch, I say thank you very much, and then they leave. I don't see them.
I still didn't know. All I had been told before the sketch was to get friendly with this other woman, Chloe.
Today I'm going to ask you some questions about a person you met earlier, and I'm going to ask you some general questions about their face.
She was thin, so you could see her cheekbones. And her chin was a nice, thin chin.
The women were really critical about moles or scars or things like that, and yet they were describing just a normal, beautiful person.
She had nice eyes. They lit up when she spoke and were very expressive.
The length of the nose, what is that like?
It's short.
Short.
Yeah, cute nose.
Her face was fairly thin.
She had blue eyes, very nice blue eyes.
Okay. So this is your self-described image? And then somebody else described you in light of this sketch.
I have this whole thing about having dark circles and crow's feet around my eyes, and that was not part of the sketch at all that the stranger did. The stranger's was a little more like gentle.
It's really different. Which is very strange. She looks closed off and fatter. She just looks kind of shut down. Sadder, too. The second one is more beautiful.
Do you think they're catching more of that from you?
Yeah. She looks more open and friendly and happy. I've come.
All right. So you can watch the rest of it. I don't want to, but then you get the gist of it. But we are not just this body. You know, we are people and we're souls. And I think that's where the shift came in for me, Chris. I finally realized after hearing all these people and telling myself and going through the whole journey, if I hadn't been through the 34 years of ups and downs and weight loss and weight gains and feeling worthless and feeling worthy, I mean, I wouldn't know the difference. So it's all part of the journey and it's all perfect. But that's where I think it came in. I'm going to share my screen again because I want to share. So there was about 7-8 weeks ago. So we all have something that comes into our lives that kind of, gives us a why, or gives you like a burning desire, kind of lights a fire under your butt with something. When I look at those words, it's just like that. I am those things, and people see those things because they're looking past that when you look at people. But so my recent shift, about 7 weeks ago, actually this past Monday was 7 weeks. It was a Sunday evening. My son Joshua, he is 11 years old, 5th grade. He has been, for the past few months, being bullied at school. And he would come home, and it wasn't really bullying, more like picking on and stuff, but we kind of were laying in the bed on a Sunday night, and we were talking, and I was just giving him, some tips about just be yourself, and you don't have to be anybody but yourself, and love you, and everything's fine. And he looks up at me, and he goes, "But Mom, what if somebody calls you fat?" And I said, well, baby, are people calling me fat? And he's like, "Well, not today, but somebody did last year." And he didn't want to tell me because he didn't want to hurt my heart. He didn't want to hurt my feelings. So this 11-year-old, sweet sleeping child didn't want to hurt my almost 35-year-old grown heart. So he's held something in for a year. And I don't know what happened that night, but it's like my higher self and my soul no longer, and I don't know if it was for him or for me, or if it's just when the synchronicity took place, but my soul knew it could no longer live in this unhealthy body that I have been stuffing and filling with other things that I wanted. And I deserve to have this life with my son that is a life of freedom and is not bound down by me trying to fill with alcohol, pills, food, emotion, attention from other people. And so there was just something that happened that night. And the next morning, I'm telling you, because I had been in this rut for like 1.5 years, 2 years of using products, but not really, like using the products maybe once or twice a day, and then eating pizza and stuffing and doing my normal routine at night where I just stuff until I felt like I was feeling full, but it was just a coping mechanism for the time. And it wasn't really what was filling me up. So my daily mindset had to change at that point. I got up the next day, I've been having my shakes, I've been walking, I've been doing stuff, and like literally in a very short amount of time, I'm down almost 20 pounds, feel better than ever, and here's some of the things that I kind of just wanted to point out that I felt like if I had to like tell people about starting a program or doing anything, like you cannot go on a diet. A diet will fail you every time. A diet is about deprivation and being in trouble and, discipline. And it's just not going to work. It doesn't work for me. Maybe it works for some people to go on quick, fast diets, but not for someone like me who has compulsive overeating and can get caught in that. I've been having to be doing awareness eating, very, very aware of what I'm eating. Where's it coming from? What am I putting in my body? I have to know my triggers that lead to my overeating and my cravings. Some of my bread, sugars, you know what you know about yourself. After so many years, you know what causes you. You know that if you're doing well for a week and then you go out to dinner and overeat on something, that might cause cravings. So, your daily mindset, what you're thinking about. Every day I get up and I'm going to fuel myself. Every meal for me right now is satisfying because I'm making it that way. I'm not eating stuff that I don't like. Like me and Chris and Casey were talking the other day, people think going on a diet, that means they have to eat chicken breasts and broccoli every day. It doesn't. If you hate broccoli, why are you eating broccoli now that you're on this diet? I eat a bunch of kale and mushroom and things that are very satisfying to me. And I eat now with what's in tune with my body based on how it feels. I'm looking at this as a long-term healthy lifestyle, and I'm taking it one day at a time right now. Every time I started before and would just fail or do for like a week or two, well, I got a cruise coming up. Well, summer's coming up. Well, my birthday, you know, something's coming up. So I got a wedding's coming up. And it was always this short little time frame that I was going to starve myself or go into this crazy lifestyle for a few days or 30 days or 60 days. And it's not something that's sustainable. You know, movement. Right now, the only movement I'm doing is walking, stretching, moving around. Some people might be at a different level, but I'm walking and then I'm celebrating all these little things. Like William said 2 weeks ago, like every week when I get to my 7 weeks, I'm like, this 7 weeks, I'm celebrating. I am not on a diet. Today I walked. I'm telling people what I'm doing. Like, personal development daily, it's a must. Like every day I have to plug into stuff. I can feel myself when I start getting off track. And there's some things that I've got some little books here at the end that I was going to share with y'all that just are for somebody who might not be, you know, into personal development yet, just some easy starting points. But, you know, self-love, patience, and affirmations, like, no matter, even though I've done so well lately, I can still catch myself being hard on myself. And we're so hard on ourselves and we have to stop. You have to talk to yourself better. If you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed and you say, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, I'm fat. Oh, I ate that again last night. That's going to be your day. If you get out of the bed and you say, I'm healthy, I feel amazing, guess what? Healthy people walk. That's why I'm walking, because healthy people walk. Whether it hurts, whether I get a blister or not, healthy people get up every day and they walk and they fuel their body with good nutrition. And that's why I'm doing it, because I am healthy. I see myself at the end result. I'm living daily like my body is already in its healthiest state. So not only do I see that my body's in the healthiest state, I feel it. Like right now, I'm in my sister's house. There's a pool and stuff. Normally, feel very uncomfortable walking around in a bathing suit, uncomfortable walking around in my shorts that I'm very comfortable in, but I'm walking around in them and I'm owning them because this is me and I'm a healthy person and I am in my healthiest state. And that's how I'm living my life right now. And when you're living in a state like that every single day, the other stuff just happens. Like your body comes in and your higher self comes in and takes over. If you're healthy, you're eating healthy, you're walking, you're doing healthy things. And I've claimed to be healthy. So that's what's happening. You know, I've got loving myself enough to make my physical, mental, and emotional health a priority. And it's that simple. You know, it's a long story, but I was in Mexico and this guy that I didn't even know, he came up to me and he said he was, you know, he had like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but he's very in tune to people. And he came up to me and he said, I've been watching you all weekend. When are you going to start putting yourself first? And that has stuck with me because as moms, as women, as people, we're always so quick to take care of everybody else or do stuff for everybody else. So when's the last time you got out of the bed in the morning and just said, you know, today I'm going to love myself. I'm going to get up. I'm going to be healthy. You know, we get out of bed, we check our phones, we see who messages, and then we're getting the kids breakfast and we're getting the kids to school and then we're doing the laundry and then we're taking care of everybody else but ourselves. And no more. Like no more. On that day, if in order to be healthy for Josh, in order to be there for him, in order to be there for my family, I'm first. My health, my mental, emotional, and physical health are my priority right now. And that's just kind of where I am. And then I put these books together, Chris, just because are these few little things just to kind of give people maybe like a starting point. Like Manifesting Change was my first personal growth book. At the time, it kind of sounded kind of crazy to me. I mean, again, when you saw those first pictures of those in my bathing suit, the very first of Isogenics, when I started, I knew nothing about personal development. I didn't care about personal development, and I thought people who did it were crazy. But it's been honestly the best thing. And it's been 4 years, like I said, of every relationship, every book, every conversation, every event, every retreat, everything that I've done is all just finally came together. So just stay the course. And like, if you don't have your eating under control right this second, that's okay. Read a book. You know, you don't have to have it all together right now. Just trust in the process and trust that if you're doing your personal development and you're doing the best you can with your eating, at one point it is going to come into an alignment. And when it does, it feels so good. And it's like the most crazy thing, because what's going on right now in my life, the things that I'm doing and the eating and the walking and just staying on track, it's not hard at all because my higher self is in control and it's just flowing. Feeling that is the secret. That's another good one. 101 ways to transform your life. I've listened to that over and over and over again. And this book right here, this What Are You Hungry For? I just started getting into this book, which I never would have looked at if I hadn't been doing LiveFULLy and all this stuff. First chapter has blown me away. I have so many notes and marks, and I really want to dive deep into that book and come back. It hits so many points. I'd really like to maybe even do a group book thing on it one day or something where we're all kind of reading it and up for discussion, because it really does just talk about so much of you're never going to fill yourself with food. You're going to have to find, you have to fill your soul with something other than food. So I don't know, Chris, that's pretty much all I kind of have. So if you wanted to touch on anything, or I don't know if you have any questions, or if anybody has any questions.
Wow, I didn't expect to be blown away emotionally like that. That video is incredible. I was trying to get myself together, but just seeing how our perceptions of ourselves, can be so incredibly different from what other people see. And, I've definitely been shaken and sat down in a corner and like have people, you tend to just kind of blow compliments off when people give them to you because you don't believe them. Like that's not part of who you think you are. And so it kind of just like goes right past you. And, I know William, when we were at the retreat in Tennessee, and it was probably one of the most uncomfortable moments I can even remember, of being kind of like sat down and like, no, you're going to listen to this, like, and you're going to like, receive it. And I was like, oh, I was annoyed. I wanted to get up. Like it was awful. And I think, it's such a key where you talk about like the repetition. Like this didn't happen yesterday. This is 4 years of bit by bit, book, by book, retreat by retreat. I mean, it's a process to kind of shift from this unworthiness, place of unworthiness and not having self-love to a point where you do. And as I've always been kind of like a solutions driven person, that it's like, okay, great. Now I know that I'm affected by this. I know that I feel unworthy, and that I, know that I do things that are not very loving, for myself. Before the gastric bypass surgery, I had gotten to the point where I never even looked at myself in the mirror, ever. I mean, like I could get dressed, put makeup on, and I still like really was just kind of looking past myself, like through the entire process, like never looked at myself ever. And that it takes time. I mean, it's a process to kind of go through, like doing those affirmations every single day, picking up another book when you're done reading one, instead of whatever else you're doing in the car, putting on 101 ways to transform your life. Like over time that it starts to, to sink in. And I feel like, where you are now, it's like, there's a separation. And this is, just personally speaking, a separation that happened for me when you talked about like your higher self and kind of aligning with, your mind, and your spirit kind of coming into alignment. And I've been having a lot of conversations lately about kind of separating your spirit from, and I like to just call it a shell, because a shell seems so, impersonal. Like my identity used to be so related to my body that I couldn't separate from it. So I'm like, well, how am I going to get to this point of self-love and worthiness when I'm still in this body, who I feel like that's who I am. And, the more Zooms we do, the more conversations I have with people, the more, books that I read, it just keeps coming back to like the body and the weight is just this result our thoughts, of our emotions, of, you know, like past situations that we've gone through that we've decided to soothe. Or, you know, you said fill, that's why I, you know, came up with like live fully. It's like I had this, you know, visual of like filling, like what am I filling myself with all the time? And so to be able to kind of separate your spirit and say, well, wait a second, like if that's not who I am, then who am I in spirit? You know, who is, you know, Chris, that's just the spirit Chris. And then it's like, okay, well, that person deserves a healthy body to walk around in, a healthy shell. Like, so that there's things that God has given to me, gifts and you know, purpose to act out in this life, to serve other people. And, you know, I can't do that when I'm not healthy enough to move around. And so rather than, you know, that body being my identity and like, well, that's who I am, and how am I not going to be, how do I love myself when I'm still, you know, this overweight, started to go away. Like I started to chip away at that until it was like, okay, now I like the spirit me deserves a healthy body to move around in. And, you know, the punishment as far as, you know, this cycle of, you know, filling with one thing and different, it's one addiction to the next. It's just got to stop, because it's all based on falsehoods. I mean, look at the video that you showed. It's like none of, you know, what they thought about themselves was true. I mean, like physically, like it was like all a lie that was in their own head. And you could see the emotion that came over them when they saw how other people, you know, portray them. And so it was a perfect video for your message. I just absolutely loved it, because I think it really does show how powerful, you know, it is, that these like negative imprints that we hold on to, that we kind of make a part of our identity, that really are just, they're just not true. So it's amazing. Who, Kathy or William, Casey, do you guys have anything you want to?
Yeah, you know, as a child, as a boy, I was very insecure. I spent a lot of time thinking very little of myself, and partly because I was told that I wasn't much. But I was told this by my brothers. Um, so everything they told me I wasn't tough enough, that I wasn't strong enough, I wasn't adequate as a male, I could not, you know, play sports as well as they could, and I believed them because they were so convincing. And what it ended up being is misplaced focus. My focus became more on what I could not do than what I could do. And it wasn't until I left that environment, until I started to get a better focus, that I was able to see what my capabilities were. And it really wasn't until I joined the military that I learned that there was something bigger in me. But when you have misplaced focus, for example, you're driving your car, what happens if you have misplaced focus? If you're driving your car on a highway at 75 miles per hour, what happens if you have misplaced focus? Well, you have what they call an accident. I prefer to call it a wreck. Misplaced focus causes you to have multiple wrecks in your life, is what it does. When you're focused on the wrong thing, you have wrecks. Some of them, for some people, unfortunately, are fatal. Some of them are dangerously deadly. Some of them are just little scrapers that happen. But these wrecks, these things are happening every day, that our focus is in the wrong place. And Morgan, what you said, and what the video said, and Chris, what you were saying, it's really about changing our focus to seeing another part of ourselves, to seeing it the right way, to having the right focus to see who you really are. It's okay to understand and be acquainted with your weaknesses or your challenges, but it's not okay to highlight them and illuminate them to the extent that that's all you see. There's got to be a balanced approach. And if it's not balanced, then your focus is going to cause you to have another wreck. So what you're saying is so pure and so wonderful that you can see who you are from someone else's. And even if at first you see it from someone else's perspective, you don't want to always see it that way. But if that's the kickstart, someone told you were beautiful and you finally learn to say, just thank you. I put that on Facebook recently. Just accept the friggin' compliment. Chris, you got on me about that one time. So it's a beautiful thing to have focus that you know who you are. Yeah, you got some things that you're working on, but the other side of that is you're a beautiful, wonderful creature made by God that is loved by so many people and that's making a big difference in this world. You're just so awesome. And there's far more things going right and well and wonderful in your life than there ever will be going wrong. It's usually only a handful of things that you can pick out that are just not right. If it's real things, I mean, if it's real legitimate, it's going to be less than a handful. It's usually like one or two things. Other than that, you're wonderful.
I love it. I love it. And, Morgan, too, I thought about too, like recently where you were kind of telling the story about Josh and how that was kind of the catalyst as far as, getting you started to making a change. But you said that, it was like at some point being healthy and, changing your focus and, being concerned about, the food that you ate. And it shifted from doing it for him, like for someone else, to for you. And I think like it's great that if there's someone else in your life that deserves to have you around, and that kind of causes to kickstart like, oh, I need to get my butt in gear and do this. Like I want to be around, for his graduation and his wedding and his, first kid. And, like that's all true. But I just loved that when you said, that you had kind of that moment where you were like, well, yeah, it kind of started out like that, but now like, I want it for me. Like, I just love that because, like we are all so deserving and so, worthy to kind of tear down all of these false ideas that we have about ourselves. So I don't know if you have anything to share about that, but I loved, that I was like, I just love that now it's about you, it's finally about you and it's not about anybody else or anything that you can or can't do. It's like, no, I'm doing this because, we're getting to a place of self-love and worthiness that you
coming
deserve.
into your power. It's coming into my power and loving myself and being worthy enough to feel in total control of exactly what I'm doing. And there's 100% no doubt in my mind that I will be in the 100-pound club. Like I see the end picture. I feel the end picture. I see it when I'm walking. I feel it when I'm walking. I see it when I'm in there making my healthy meals, when I'm planning them, each shake, each whatever it is I'm doing. I mean, I literally, I see it and I feel it. And I would have not known how to do that without all the little steps that have taken place. Like it had to be learned, and I had to listen to people, and I had to, the retreats and the things and the conversation we've had and Casey. And like I said, 4 years worth of, and more than that, even the years before. And like William said, when I was young, people were telling me I wasn't good enough at this and that too. And it's the misplaced focus and coming back into your power and taking back the control.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to, we'll post the recording of this for sure, but I want to specifically call out the books that you put up there because there's some really, really good ones to start out with. They were also ones that I started reading early on. And I posted a couple of snippets from the documentary called Hungry for Change. And so if anybody has been, in the LiveFULLy group, hopefully you've seen a couple of those. And one of them was, really this specific part that they had in there about loving yourself. There was a separate one that was more about like visualization and like putting, I mean, there's vision boards in the background here. I mean, I'm in Casey's room right now, and like there's, we have stuff up about the vacations that we want to take, about, our goals financially, and, all of these different areas. But I don't have a picture of myself in the body, that I desire and deserve anywhere. And that was kind of an aha for me when I was watching that documentary. It's mostly about food and nutrition, the majority of the movie, but toward the end, they spend a little bit of time on mindset. And that was one of the things that I thought was really, kind of like clonked me on the head, that it was like, dum-dum, you've got all this stuff up in your house about, like what you desire, but it's good to have, a picture like of your healthy self. And even you said earlier that, there was a photo where you were smaller, but it was not a healthy smaller. And, that's important too. If it's going to bring emotions or, memories of a time in your life where you were being bad to yourself or punishing yourself, losing weight as a result of addiction, or, just making unhealthy choices. It's like, yeah, I don't want that picture up, either, because you don't want to think about that. But to start to really associate, positivity every single day, and then, your mind and your body follows. So I just love it. What else? Anybody else? Anybody? No. All right. Well, I just thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your story. And I think the more times we tell it, the easier it gets to tell, and especially the more we grow and the more we do start to love ourselves, it's not quite so scary. And I think, like I said, I think that video is just so incredible, to just kind of show how false, these thoughts and ideas that we have about who we are, like our identity, how false they can be. So I love it. I can't wait to post that, and we'll make sure we get some people to go back and watch again. But thank you to everybody for jumping on this week. And like I said, we'll keep you posted and updated as far as, next week. Obviously, will be an off week since we're meeting every other Wednesday, and it may or may not be a Wednesday the week after next, but stay tuned. We'll post that in the group and make sure everybody is well aware of when we meet again. So thank you so much, and we love you so much. And that's all. I hope everybody has a good rest of their Wednesday night. And thank you to everybody who's been participating in the group too. Make sure that you tell all of your friends and family members and people that you feel like deserve to benefit from some of these incredible inspirational stories. That's what we're here to do, is uplift people and change this mindset so that it's all one of self-love and worthiness and good health. So, all right. Well, thanks again, everybody. And we'll talk to you. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.